Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we're trying a bit of lands action, but we're trying out a brand new card, and that is the Scouring Stormsoul, or as it's known in the Spider-Man set, Sandman Shifting Scoundrel, I believe. So this is a 3-mana creature which has power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. It can't be chump blocked by little creatures, and it has an ability of 3 green, return this card and target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it's kind of a bit like a little self-contained life from loan that can also just win the game and beat down. It should be noted that because it comes back tapped, it means you can't just immediately play it and put the Lavaspur Boots on it. But what you can do is play it in your opponent's end step because it is instant speed. So this deck is pretty close to the stock lands builds these days. So we're running Exploration to power out lands quickly. We've got ourselves Crop Rotation to find specific lands at specific times. We have Malevolent Rumble to put a load of stuff in our graveyard and dig. We have Once Upon a Time to shore up our opening hands and make sure we're getting the pieces we require. Mox Diamond is a piece of fast mana. Obviously, Life from the Loam is the main engine in this deck, but not necessarily essential like it has been in previous lands builds of the past. We've got an Urza Saga package involving Soul Guide Lantern, Pithing Needle, Lavaspur Boots, Expedition Map, and obviously the Mox Diamonds. And then our lands package is probably what we need to talk about the most. So we have Protection via Sejiri Steppe because this deck is a 4x Dark Depths deck. We are really trying to lean into the combo and do this relatively quickly, and sometimes bash it into our opponent's face the turn it comes into play using Lavaspur Boots. So we've got the full 4 depths 4 stage, so I'm very much in my comfort zone here. We've also got a Tabernacle which can shut down a bunch of decks. We've got Maze of Ith to protect ourselves, a nice Otawara to bounce spooky permanents, the Bojuka Bog so that we have access to some extra graveyard hate alongside the Soul Guide Lantern, and a Ghost Quarter in case we want to blow up all of our opponent's lands forever. And the Wastelands. There is a one-of Ancient Tomb here, which I'm not hugely in love with, but the reason it's here is because it allows you on 3 lands to just activate your Thespian stage of Dark Depths. It can also just give you 2 lands to start activating your Saga, so a little burst of mana makes enough sense there. In the sideboard we've got some removal for like Maze of the Moon and stuff. We've got some more removal for Maze of the Moon in the form of Twin Shot Sniper. We've got some Graveyard Hate and Fairy Macabre, Force of Vigor to blow up things like Blood Moon, another Pithing Needle if we need this sort of effect we can put it in and we can chew it up with an Urza Saga. Another piece of Graveyard Hate and an Endurance, and then 3 Disruptor Flutes as a nice catch-all against some of the combo decks that go underneath what we're trying to do. So we're playing basically Monogreen here, but this is a pretty sweet deck. So like, subscribe, and let's just get landsing people.
If you've been watching my content and thinking, I'd like to play some Legacy too, then check out 3for1 Trading, one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. They have weekly offers and upload new cards every Wednesday. And it's not just Legacy stuff they sell. They have a beautiful selection of vintage and old school cards too. Support from sponsors like 3for1 Trading make it possible for me to put out videos and help keep Legacy alive, so why not give them some love? Click their link in the description below and use my code COW3 to enjoy free worldwide shipping on your first order over €500.
This kind of gets us to where we want to be. I'm not a big lover of the Yavimaya, but we're going to be crop rotating away anyway, so I think we'll keep this one. This is a turn 3 Marit Lage, but we can also do other stuff with Malevolent Rumble. Our opponent's mulling into 5 though, so if they're on some sort of let's just kill you turn 1 plan, that's always going to be a weakness of lands decks. They're not great into combo. You can play the green-white build of lands that runs the Sphere of Resistance, which helps in these sort of matchups. And they tend to run more Ancient Tombs in their lists as well. Polluted Delta. So we could be looking at anything from Storm to Reanimator to Tempo to Doomsday. Alright, this feeling like Doomsday. Could be Storm still. We'll find out. If they just go turn 1 Doomsday here though. No. We're walking this back. They've got different plans. Oh no, okay, just black with black. It is the Doomsday. So our opponent has to decide what they're playing around. They probably don't have a turn 1 kill unless they have... No, they can't have a turn 1 kill with 1 card in hand. Because they can cycle into the top card, but they can't cast any spells. So they have a turn 2 kill here. So our plan is going to be wastelanding them, I guess. That's all we have. That can sometimes star opponent's roll, but they might just be doing an LED line. They might have enough lands in their pile to get around Wasteland. We could have held slightly longer on the Doomsday and maybe feigned the fact that we might have a counter spell. Because maybe they play around different things if they think we have counter magic. Alright. This is a standard list here. There is no Lion's Eye Diamond. How many Lotus Petals are in there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So no Lotus Petals. So our plan is very much to cast Crop Rotation and hope it holds. Mox Diamond. Sure. I'll play this out. This just allows us to play around a potential days our opponent can have. I think it's just the Wasteland here. This may or may not do anything, but it's the thing we have. Maybe we're supposed to have pitched the Dark Depths to the Mox Diamond, but I'm expecting, if our opponent didn't scoop here, that they're just going to kill us this turn. An island. Okay, we're getting another turn. We can Ghost Quarter this. And Urza's Saga. I think we cast Malevolent Rumble this turn. But our opponent's just going to sandbag whatever they need here. So it's going to be very hard for us to get through this. Boseiju. We can take a Boseiju, I guess. I honestly don't think it matters, and our opponent's just going to kill us next turn. But this is obviously one of the worst matchups for lands decks. But we do have some Disruptor Flutes which can help out of the sideboard. And sometimes land destruction does help here. Is our opponent just going to cycle through their pile right now? They've got one card left in their pile. They've got the Cavern of Souls here. So they're going to play a Thassa's Oracle. They might have a second Thassa's Oracle as the last card as well. And here comes the Wizard spell. And then we are dead. Not really a surprise. Doomsday is certainly not one of the matchups we want to be facing. Disruptor Flutes get in. I don't know if our opponent's going to have a pivot plan. I'm not going to respect that, but I will put in this Endurance. What looks bad here? I don't think we're on the Bojuka Bog line, so we can get rid of that one. Now, sometimes they have stuff in their graveyard that you want to get rid of, but that's not really it. So the reason you might want to take stuff out of their graveyard is because the Doomsday can choose stuff from the pile, from the graveyard. This cantrips, is this where we want to be? I don't think it is. If we're boarding out Graveyard Hate, it makes sense to board out more. Any of these things not looking super hot, not especially. I think these are all fine for what we want to be doing. So the Pithing Needle isn't amazing, but we can name like Street Wraith, and maybe that can mess up a pile and buy us time. I don't think we need Sejiri Steppe. This isn't about protecting our win. So the last question is, do we want this second Pithing Needle? If we want the second Pithing Needle, we've probably been off like the Karakas. Although, if they pivot into a Shouldered plan, do I want to have access to this? We can bounce the Shouldered with an Otawara at some point. No, I'm not going to respect the Shouldered unless I see it. So there was a while where the Doomsday decks were pivoting into Shouldered, and it was pretty good. But then, as soon as people became aware of it, it became less good. And also, as a lands deck, we are pretty weak to the Doomsday plans. They should be sticking on the Doomsday plan as a general rule. So what does this hand do? We hope that our Once Upon a Time finds us something we need. We do have a piece of land destruction. We can kind of sandbag this one so they don't know they're playing around a Ghost Quarter. This hand is not great, though. The Endurance has text on it as well. I think we keep this one. I don't think we can mulligan to a 3 of Disruptor Flute. We just have to kind of take our licks here. Alright, Once Upon a Time. I am a big fan of drawing this forest. That does help us out a little bit here. So I think we play this into the Expedition map. So the Ghost Quarter, we don't really want to fire this at a non-basic because they're going to have one of each basic. But if they play like an island or something, then we can get them with a Ghost Quarter. If they make a Doomsday pile, they're not going to necessarily be playing around Ghost Quarter. Personal Tutor. Okay. So now we can force them to shuffle their pile with our Ghost Quarter if we want. And that might be the best option we have available to us. If we Ghost Quarter... Okay, we could Wasteland them off of this. But do I like shuffling away this Personal Tutor as well? I think I do. Let's see if you want to... So this is an optional. They may search their library. So they probably are in a bit of a bind here, but we'll get information one way or the other. Are they going to search their library, or are they going to keep that Doomsday on top? Okay, they are searching their library. That's good to know. So I can play this Mox Diamond, pitch in this Thespian stage, and activate my Expedition map. But what are we even looking for at that point? I think this makes some sense, though, because we get to 2 to 4 like another piece of land destruction. But our opponent shuffled away their Doomsday that they spent their first turn doing. So that seems good to me. Polluted Delta. Personal Tutor again. Okay. We don't have a second Ghost Quarter to reach for. Alright, let's crack this Expedition map and see what we fancy here. So we could get creative and try to Boseiju this Polluted Delta. So we can force them to shuffle. Is this a Maze shuffle or is this a has to shuffle? Maze search their library. So they can leave this, but then they're not going to have the black source. Although they can just... is that what we're doing? That seems wild. We get a Wasteland and it's kind of the same thing and doesn't cost us mana. But then they just... Yeah, they just let this go. I guess we take the Wasteland. It's an awkward line, but I think it's where we need to be here. Right, let's Wasteland a polluted delta. Not a play you make very often here, but now they have to decide if they want this mana or they want the Doomsday. Okay, they'd rather have the Doomsday. So I would like to keep open this crop rotation, which means, am I playing out the Lavaspur Boots or the Expiration here? I think it's probably the Expiration. It's better for us if we draw something like a Loam. And then we'll hold open this crop rotation. But you have to do some pretty ugly looking things in a matchup like this. Like, there is also the line of just, okay, we try and make our thing and go as quickly as possible. But that doesn't always work. So now they have the Doomsday in hand. There's no point trying to wasteland this. We could go and get our party started with an Urza Saga. But I like having access to the Endurance for now. Maze of Ith. Okay, I guess we play it out here. Do you want to play around a Daze? I think we do. So we kept this one Maze of Ith in case they've gone like a Baragoyf pivot plan. We know they've got a Doomsday in hand. So I think this is an opportunity for us to wasteland our opponent again. They put the card on top of their library. Alright, let's get rid of this Maze of Ith. Just go to the Wasteland. Goodbye to the Undercity Sewers. They're basically a mono blue deck, but their combo card is black, black, black. So stripping off of black is pretty important. Dark Ritual obviously papers over a multitude of sins. But if we can like draw a line from the Loam, then I think we're actually okay here. We didn't draw a line from the Loam, but we did draw a card that I'm interested in casting. A Dark Depths. Okay, not the most exciting thing. We will play it out. We are a little bit shields down here. We've gone off of green cards for Endurance. So if they can all win in one turn, then they got us. But I think we have to play towards, you know, Once Upon a Timing to try and find more disruption rather than just hoping the Endurance does enough. We're going to see a Dark Ritual this turn or a Lotus Petal. Either of those can get them into Doomsday. Right, so here's the Lotus Petal. It's just going to be black, black, black. They're going to play the Doomsday, and then it's their turn to try and figure out a pile that's going to beat us, which shouldn't be too difficult. They're on a pretty high life total. We're not really applying any pressure. I don't think there's any way... well, they don't know that, actually. We could have cards in hand that would mean that we could kill them with a 20/20 next turn. So they might be playing around that. They have one blue open, so it's relatively likely they have just a cantrip in hand of some description, and then they can just win with their pile that way. Like, if they have Brainstorm here, then they just win. Because you brainstorm into, like, LED, Cycler, and then you have access to Consider on top, so you cycle your Street Wraith, crack your AD in response, and then you get to have your 3 mana, so you Consider, and then you can just cycle through your little guys, and you're all good. They've assembled a pile, but they're passing the turn. So, they're saying there's some kind of small chance. They have also gone into a pivot plan with Doughty Voidwalker. But that's mainly just to hose on our bits and pieces, I would imagine. We have a card we can't cast, but we do have this Endurance. So I guess we are trying to win the game with this Endurance now. Our opponent can just Doomsday again if they have another black source in their pile. We could count the counter spells in our opponent's deck, but there's just no point because we have one play available to us. We have to make it and hope it's good enough. That saves me having to count some things. So this will put the trigger on the stack, and then we will Endurance here. They have a Force of Will, and we die. Cool. Yeah, Doomsday is a very horrible matchup for lands, and you can certainly see that here. Let's go to round number 2 and see if we can find something with some creatures for us to prey upon. I don't really have an engine card, but Once Upon a Time is a pretty good card to find us something like an Urza Saga. Or we can just dig our way into the combo here. I think we will keep this one. We also have the Sandman card. Some work. Ponder. So we could be looking at Doomsday again, but it's more likely to be something like Blue-Black Reanimator or Blue-Black Tempo. Doomsday is quite low in the format right now. Alright, let's Once Upon a Time. I don't think about countering this. That's interesting. I'll take this Dark Depths, please. And then I think we're just going to wasteland our opponent. I don't really want to pitch any of these to the Mox Diamond just yet. So we're just going to pass it over. Oh wow, we got him. Life from the Loam. That's a nice banger, isn't it? Our opponent might even scoop to that, to be honest. Let's play Yavimaya. Get this Mox going. It's the Sejiri Steppe. And I will loan back these 2 cards. Classic lands gaming. No lands for you, all the lands for me. This makes me happy. Will our opponent scoop to the Wasteland lock? Possibly. They've got to have basics in their deck. Alright, they've had enough. So, we don't really know what our opponent's doing. So they're most likely to be blue-black reanimated, because that is 20% of the meta. So we could just board for that. And these cards have some use. Actually, the endurance is going to be good against reanimator and against tempo. So we definitely put this endurance in. And then it's a case of, what are we doing with these cards? Do we want Ferromacabres? They're a little bit narrow, and quite often the reanimator deck boards out of reanimator anyway. So we can just rely on our Ancient Tomb, our Bojuka Bog and our Soulguide Lantern. Pithing Needle was nice against Tamiyo. I think we want one of those. Do we want a second one is the question? Possibly. So there's maybe two things we want. We're not going to board out the fun card that we're trying out today. That's not what I'm about. Karakas is going to be very good against Reanimator. So we want to keep that in. Tabernacle is just pretty useful as well. It gets tough to work out what goes here. If they're a counter spelly deck, then the crop rotations look a little bit less good. So we can maybe trim a crop rotation for endurance. And then I don't know if we can fit in this Pithing Needle. Do we have a land that I'm okay to get rid of? I don't think so. The deck is kind of geared towards being good against blue-black Reanimator because that's the deck that you have to beat right now. So I think we're just going to send it in like this. Like, yeah, maybe we should probably be cutting some of these Sandman, Scoundrel thingies. But we are trying the new card out today, so we're going to leave it in our deck even when we maybe shouldn't necessarily do that. We have Graveyard Hate. We have Once Upon a Time to hopefully find us a green source. We have an Urza Saga beatdown, so even if we don't find a green source, we still have a plan. I think this is keepable. It's probably Karakas into Soulguide Lantern. We're not losing to Atraxa. I don't think that's going to happen here. Because we got Karakas and a Soulguide Lantern. So there's this interesting sub-game with the Once Upon a Time. So we can cast the Once Upon a Time before our opponent has the ability to daze. The downside of doing that is if our opponent sees us casting it in a situation where it looks like it's important to us, they're more likely to counter it. So we just kind of roll off. We also have more information about what we're going for here. So let's get this Once Upon a Time in. Do I want the Dark Depths or do I want this Wasteland? The Wasteland will keep our opponent relatively honest. I think I'm going to keep this Wasteland for now. We missed on green, which is obviously a bit of a pain. I think our opponent is quite likely to be on tempo with this turn 1 Nile Spellbomb play. Now, I have seen Nile Spellbombs out of the blue-black Reanimator decks. It's pretty good in the mirror, obviously, and you want to be able to beat the mirror if you're going to a big tournament, and lots of people testing for Eternal Weekend right now means that's not completely unexpected. Tamiyo, sure. Good card is good. So now we're going to start grinding with our sagas. Ooh, a Mox. That's pretty interesting. That changes things a little, doesn't it? Let's play out this Saga first. Let's play out this Mox. And we're going to pitch... I think it's the Wasteland here. We're going to be buying it back anyway. And then our opponent has to choose what they want to do with their Nile Spellbomb. So we can get back this Wasteland right now. And just have more fuel. But that does mean that we're losing the Loam. I think that's okay. If they crack this fetch land at any point, then we can just boot the Tamiyo. Alright, there we go. So we had to play around them having a Brainstorm here. So now we boot the Tamiyo. Now they could just play Tamiyo next turn and Brainstorm. Are they going to get the swamp here? It's a nice swamp. Don't know where that's from originally. Alright, so they're just going to take out our life of their own. Now, that makes sense to me. That seems like what we expected. But we're just forced in some action so that our opponent's Tamiyo can go back to their hand, so we don't have to worry about it. So now they need to play a non-basic if they want to flip a Tamiyo this turn. They can play Tamiyo and Brainstorm. Deck should be very good into this tempo deck, though. They don't have a lever where they can just cheese us like the Reanimator decks do. So we're in for a sort of medium to long game, and that's where the lands deck really shines. If they don't find a Wasteland, we just get to keep rumbling with the Saga. If they do find a Wasteland, we play another one. That's a Wasteland. They should fire off now. If you wait, then you expose yourself to things like crop rotation getting us another one. Alright, let's play out this as a Saga. I'm not going to play out the expiration. I'd rather hold up the crop rotation, so if our opponent does Wasteland us again, we can at least get some value out of that. There is a land we can hit with a Wasteland next turn if we wish. This is going to be like a Barragoyf or something. A Murktide Regent, sure. It's only a 4/4, so it's pretty mediocre. I'm not going to fire off a crop rotation in the face of that over there. Oh, a Maze of Ith. Don't mind if I do. That's kind of a perfect draw, to be honest with you. I will take it. So now we're going to start churning out our little friends. Alright, they're going to force us to do it. Makes sense. Any weird, like, multiple crop rotation Yavimaya plays that can get us into something really spooky. Tamiyo. So this gives our opponent opportunity to Brainstorm and flip the Tamiyo whilst we're tapped out. They didn't go for it. Yes, I will just be making more friends here. So we can get a Pithing Needle and handle the back side of the Tamiyo, but then we still have to deal with the front side of the Tamiyo. That doesn't feel great. Get the Lavaspur Boots and just apply a lot of pressure, which I quite like. So I'll play this. I think we play the Thespian stage so we can threaten something a bit spookier. Let's equip this on the construct here. Alright, they didn't bounce it. So if they bounce this one, this one's... So yeah, if they bounce this one is still going to be big enough to kill whatever blocks. So we're just going to smash in for a bunch of damages. We can also protect our creature using a Maze of Ith if something weird happens. Under the bus with the Murktide, sure. It's just going to be a Orcish Bowmasters to finish off this one. Sejiri Steppe. Each opponent sacrifices a creature token of their choice. So would I rather take this off the board and trade, or would I rather just smash a bunch of damages in? I think I'd rather smash the damages in, to be honest. Like, we've got a Maze of Ith. I think our opponent wanted to do that before they went to blocks, because then they could block whichever one was left over. Although they do get the information of seeing what is important to us by doing it this way. So attacking with just a Tamiyo. It's getting some clue action over there. So we can go for like a Marit Lage line at some point, if that's what we really want to do. So they're flipping the Tamiyo. At present, our construct is still big enough to do what it needs to do here. It can kill a Tamiyo. It can also trade with the Murktide Regent in combat. If we find another artifact, though, we're in a good spot. Crop rotation. Interesting. And play out on Wasteland. I think that's step one here. I don't think we're trying to make a hasty 2020. I think we're just going to send this in at the Tamiyo. And they're probably going to trade off the Murktide. I'm a little bit worried about hard cast Force of Negation from our opponent. They definitely have Force of Negations in their deck. The Tamiyo decks tend to run 2 or 3 in their 75. So I don't want to play into that one if we can avoid it. So we can use the Saga Lantern, so our opponent can't get back anything, because we can Saga Lantern and rip out the Shoulder's Edict. Yeah, I'm still not playing into the Pitchcast Force of Negation if I can avoid it there. They're just going to be racing to the top with the Tamiyo here. Annihil Spellbomb. Sure, that's fine. I'm just going to redraw immediately. Alright, just plussing on the Tamiyo. We don't really need this Maze of Ith, so I'm happy to just turn it into something with this crop rotation. I'm not necessarily expecting this to resolve, but the costs are pretty low and the payoff is pretty high. Alright, they're looking for a thing here, so they're not going to be able to hard cast a Force of Negation. If we get the Dark Depths, we can try and defeat our opponent. So if we get the Dark Depths here, so we Wasteland them off of this, 1, 2, 3, we make this, but it's not going to be hasty is the problem. I'm kind of worried about the Brazen Borrower is the issue here. I'm just trying to work out if we want to just nail this. I think we do. We'll do this now, so our opponent can't Brazen Borrow our guy. We can... So our last crop rotation resolved. That might mean they have a Force of Negation that they've drawn off of that Annihil Spellbomb. See what they're up to. So if they have a Force of Negation, they can get us. But alright, so our plan was to... We crop rotate into a Yavimaya, which means this taps for mana. So we have 3 mana here. This is the 4th mana for the Lavaspur Boots, and we kill our opponent. So we did get there. This is obviously a very good matchup for lands. So we've seen kind of both sides of the coin so far. Let's go to round number 3. We're on the play. Again, this is going to dig us relatively deep, so I am willing to keep this one. Now, there's definitely a possibility that our Once Upon a Time finds us nothing of note, but it has a decent number of hits. We're looking for the Urza Sagas and the Dark Depths, but we can also just find some disruptive elements like Wasteland, and that can keep us going quite nicely. Boseiju, Thespian stage. I guess we take the stage here. We can Mox Diamond, bin off this, deploy an Exploration, see if our opponent has any counter magic. Deploy this Thespian stage. We can deploy another land if we want to. I don't know if I want to deploy the Tabernacle, or if I want to keep that little secret between me and my opponent. I'm going to play the Tabernacle though. So any creature-based strategy is going to struggle into this. A basic forest kind of signifies a creature-based strategy. A Dark Depths, you say. I will play this Dark Depths and this Boseiju. Alright, opponent. How do you feel about this? This is a turn 2 Marit Lage. We're going to see a crop rotation. So our opponent might be on a similar thing to us. So what do they get here? Oh, it's a Cloud Post. Okay, so the thing we're caring about at this point is the Kozilek's Command. That is a thing that can blow up what we're doing here. And this Tabernacle doesn't do very much. If they pass with a bunch of colourless mana, we don't actually get to do anything here. So I could do a really weird play where I copy their Cloud Post. This gives them more locuses on the battlefield, but does give us more mana. I don't think giving my opponent more mana is a good strategy. So I'm not going to make this guy now, because this is clearly a telegraphed Kozilek's command. We don't have anything going on. A Wasteland. That is very good for us. Let's send that over and take out this Cloud Post. This is going to be the Kozilek's command that we knew about. They're just going to be digging for more mana. This is also going to leave them the ability to hold up colourless next turn. I guess this is going to die to the Tabernacle trigger, actually. I would imagine that this matchup is great for us. Now, our opponent's going to have a bunch of like Pithing Needle, Disruptor Flute stuff. They're going to smash on Wasteland and be like, don't blow up my Landsbray. And hopefully, we can beat that with our Boseijus and such. We're going to bring in Force of Vigors in this matchup, so we can blow up the Pithing Needle effects to make sure our Wastelands work. Okay, so this taps for colourless, so we can't make our guy into the Face of Decay command here. And we're not under a lot of pressure. We can just kind of ease our way into this game. Alright, a Wasteland. I think we know what we're doing with this one. Goodbye, Planar Nexus. We're going to do this in our opponent's upkeep, so that if they have a crop rotation, it costs them 2 mana here, so they won't be able to redeploy anything this turn. So if we do it in our turn, then they have mana left over from this Glimmer Post. So yeah, so here's the crop rotation. So this is the exact thing we played around to try and take more of our opponent's resources this turn. They probably go and get a Cloud Post here. Oh, it's a Karakas. Sure. Fine. So we did have another option available to us where we copied the Wasteland with our Thespian stage before we used it. Do I want this Bojuka Bog, or would I rather have a Mox Diamond in play? Do I think our opponent's graveyard is an important zone? Not at all. Would I rather have a land in play that we can turn into something else later on? Probably, but the Mox Diamond pumps potential Urza Saga tokens. Alright, I think we're just going to play this one out and strip away this in case they're playing any sort of Loam type shenanigans. So crop rotations are good for us. Life from the Loam is pretty backbreaking for our opponent. Our opponent doesn't have a play on their turn, which is obviously great news for us. We do need to get a little bit of something going here. A Soul Guide Lantern. I will deploy the Soul Guide Lantern. It's going to be a redraw immediately, I believe. Goodbye to Once Upon a Time. We want to leave our lands in there because we can draw them in a minute. Let's draw a card with this. It's worth doing this in case we draw something like a... Okay, I was going to say as a Saga. It was not to be. Okay. So if we'd have made that Wasteland copy play before, we'd be in a better spot. So they're going to take out probably one of our Wastelands here. Our opponent agrees. They don't want us having those. So Life from the Loam will force a pop on the Saga Lantern. But we've got a bunch of good draws. We can draw Once Upon a Time, Malevolent Rumble. Life from the Loam will force a pop on the Saga Lantern. But we're either going to get these back, or we're going to get whatever comes with the dredge on our Life from the Loam. So we're kind of winning either way, I think, with this one. Would you like me to have the Loam, or would you like me to have a Wasteland? Neither is good for you, opponent. I don't think they can win if we have the Wasteland. Yeah, our opponent agrees. I think this is correct to pop that. That takes 2 Wastelands out of the economy there. Our poor defenseless Life from the Loam will fizzle there. We're going to leave our graveyard popped up here since it's going to be quite a key zone for us. Okay, if you ever tap this Karakas, you will die. Well, they can tap it in our turn, obviously. But I guess if they have colourless, they might be able to threaten a K command. But now we just get to start doing our engine here. Ooh, this guy, he is a legend, so he will get bounced by the Karakas. So I think we are just better off getting back Thespian stage and putting the Life from the Loam in the graveyard so we can dredge it next turn. If I deploy this Mox Diamond right now, I can chuck this away. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we don't have quite enough to bring back the Sandman guy. But soon. Planar Nexus, our opponent's got some mana over there. We could be removing manual counters from Dark Depths, but that's not really worth doing in my opinion. What do we have here? I guess we are just bringing back some things. This will give us the Sandman next turn. He won't bring back any lands, but he'll just come back as a massive guy that will force the Karakas to do stuff. And we might get to a point where we can force our opponent to do multiple things. Right, they are building out their mana base. This needs to have a target to bring back. That's interesting. You can't just bring it back. Ah, okay. So we shouldn't have Life from the Loam back everything. We should have left this in there. Alright, learning to play with new cards. Let's get back these 2 lands. I do want to play both of these lands. This does give our opponent access to green, but it also turns our Dark Depths into a mana producing land. So this can get us the going faster boot soon. A once upon a time, sure. So we've given our opponent green mana, but they could have filtered it through the Plane Nexus anyway. They revealed an Urza's Tower, so they're going to have a lot of mana this turn. But if they tap out for something, then obviously scary stuff happens to them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's quite a lot of stuff, isn't it? So we can make the depths this turn and then bring back the Sandman. I think we have enough mana for that. The One Ring. Okay, that's not the most exciting for us. Our opponent might be able to just get there here. Alright, new plan. Copy Urza's Saga. So these 2 Mox Diamonds activate this. These 2 activate this one. So we just want another Urza's Saga, I think, here, don't we? I'm just going to go big here. I would kind of like to not have to worry about this Tabernacle now. I think we do Dredge Life from the Loam. We've already got a Wasteland. I've already got an Exploration. Get this Maze of Ith back. Just the Maze of Ith is fine. So we can make the Sandman. We can make some other stuff going on. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3 for this. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can bring back the Sandman. If they don't want to Karakas that, and they will die to our Marilage. So we're in a reasonable spot here, but this game has dragged on a lot longer than I think it should do. We didn't quite get the right hits. Maybe we could have mulliganed something a little bit more aggressive. We didn't exactly know. Like, Tabernacle could have just completely shut down what our opponent's deck was doing, but it turned out to not be relevant at all. We can get rid of our own Tabernacle by copying it, letting it die, and then copying something else. Alright, the One Ring is being tapped. They are at 21, so if we hit them for 20, the One Ring will kill them. Alright, looks like an Ugin. That's going to take out our Exploration, I believe. But we don't really have other things for it to eat. No, they don't target our... They didn't target anything. Interesting. They could have taken our Exploration there. Let's get this Scouring Stormsoul in. The Ugin means they won't die to their own One Ring even if we do hit them for 20. So we have a big 9/9 that they kind of need to respect. Now if they can cast any colourless spells, that's going to be bad for us, because then they're just going to be able to instantly kill one of our guys. They won't be able to kill the constructs, but they will be able to kill the Stormsoul, and they'll be able to kill the Marilage tokens. So we need to be a little bit careful about how this goes. Big fan of our own Tabernacle hurting us. A classic. Am I dredging this? I think so. If we find a Wasteland, it changes everything. Right, so this one needs to make a friend. Right, they're bouncing this guy. This suggests to me that they have access to the Kozlet's command. But now because we have the... we can get the Pithing Needle and name this if we want to. Or we can just try and kill stuff with Lavaspur Boots, which I think is better. So if we make this guy, we can threaten to kill the Ugin or kill them. And then we can play another Dark Depths and make another construct. So this is going to be more damages. Because we're expecting them to have a Kozlet's command here. Which will kill this and it will kill one of our Marilages. Interesting. I think we are on the equip Lavaspur Boots here plan. So we can activate one Urza's Saga, but we need to play this land out to activate the second Saga. And the reason we want to activate the second Saga is so we can pump our construct. Attack all creatures at the Ugin. Oh, it just worked. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. So, would I like to have an untapped Dark Depths? I don't think it matters. We've got a lot of construct beats coming. These are not vulnerable to the Ugin, which is nice. That's kind of their big equalizer to try and smash down our board. So we should be able to handle them, I think. Now, our opponent had an opportunity to Exploration, and they didn't take it. They could have blown up our Exploration with the Ugin, which might have stopped us from playing something. There was also a second Ugin in their graveyard as well. They went to clean up with earlier. So they are not looking at many of those. Alright, so this Thespian stage is going to copy... Copy this Tabernacle? Or do we copy this Planar Nexus and just start pumping out our own mana? We copy the Karakas with this one. And then this one... If we make them both copy the Karakas and they Pithing Needle Karakas, then that's really annoying for them. Do we just make a guy here? I think we just make a guy with this one. So they have to Pithing Needle Karakas to stop us having an Urza Saga. But if they do that, then they can't Karakas away our Marit or Sandman. So we've given our opponent some things to think about. They named the Urza Saga. There is a Glimmer Post. Our opponent's gaining some more life. But we have quite a selection of guys here. 11 man. They're getting close to Emrakul moments, and I'm not looking forward to that. Have they got an Ulamog? Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Yep. This is Exile as well, so we won't be able to get back these permanents. So they've gone for the Karakas and the Thespian stage here. Understood. This one is beginning to slip away. No, it's still got more. Khan's Silex. That blows up a lot of things. Now, thankfully, we have a Pithing Needle which can stop this. But I think our opponent's just going big here, and it's a problem. This is also going to mill us out pretty quickly. So let's pay. This one can't tap for anything, so we may as well just pay for all of our guys here. I don't think we need to dredge life from the Loam here. So we have a line here where we wasteland this, and we hope they don't have Kozilek's Command. Is that a good line, is the question. So we can go and get the Expedition map, go and get the Wasteland, wasteland this, make a 2020. I assume we have enough mana to do all this. 1, 2, to crack that, play this. 1, 2, 3, crack that. Yeah, so we do have enough mana to do all of that. But do they have a Kozilek's Command, and how are we supposed to beat that? We have our own Karakas. Bouncing this isn't really great because our opponent wants to do that anyway. We can Needle the Khan's Silex so they can't fire that off and just try and beat them around the outside. It's tough here. We have a Karakas in our graveyard here. We're just going to bounce these and cause us problems. We Pithing Needle the Karakas, they can't bounce this, but it's still going to mill us for a whole bunch. Oh, this is awkward. Alright, I think we are in Hail Mary mode. Name the Karakas, so they can't bounce this. Is that true? We take a bunch. We get some damages in this turn, and hopefully next turn. Okay, we don't have... Well, we can get a Thespian stage here as well, so that's fine. So we go 1, 2, might as well get this Saga. It can still shoot at stuff, can't it? So Yavimaya and one of these Moxes. We don't have enough to kill our opponent this turn if we were to bounce this guy. We can send a 2020 at our opponent, and then one of these gets through, or two of these gets through, and that should be enough damage. So we're trying to not lose to the Kozilek's Command here. Okay, they're just going to remove the cards from the graveyard with the Kozilek's Command. That works too. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't have enough mana to pop this Scoundrel and bring this back. They're only taking out one of our targets. We're still going to get the other two. Interesting. So we swing with everything. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? We swing with everything here. And then we Maze of Ith whichever one they block, which will be the big one. This gets us 14 damage through. So we have lethal next turn in theory. We'll play out some lands. And then we can bring back the Sandman next turn as well. A little bit worried about this Khan's Silex though, because they can pop this. They just kind of have everything. But we can get back the Khan. We can get back the guy here, because we're gonna force them into doing this. Maybe we were wrong to Pithing Needle the Karakas. Maybe we Pithing Needle the Silex, and then we just beat down like this. That's probably the better plan. Yeah, I think we could have done this one a little bit better. We're kind of in the weeds in this game a little bit, and my brain is fizzling out. But yeah, if we name the Silex instead, so they can't pop this. Khan the Great Creator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we actually need this mana right now. That's a real doozy for us. We could have played around this as well. We're going for Lattice here. It is a Lattice. So we return this, then our opponent can't Silexes us. And then we lose everything. Yeah, I think we have made a mistake here. Oh, are they not popping Silex? Silex is only at sorcery speed. So they have to pop this on the next main phase, or it's lights out. Alright, they saw the line. Doing it for 1. Does that matter here? We lose our big constructs. They're obviously very big because of the Meisner's Lattice. This guy doesn't really get to attack profitably. The One Ring can potentially kill our opponent. Do we need to keep playing this one? I think we messed this game up already. Oh, we can't pay for this because of the Tabernacle. Yeah, we're just dead. Yeah, I think we messed it up when we didn't name the Khan's Silex there. But we didn't know that they were going to Kozilek's Command our 2020 either. So maybe the line is just to stop the Silex and go in that way. Alright, so this is a matchup where I would like some access to these and these things. What do we not need? We don't need Graveyard Hate, so these can come out. We don't need a... Where is it? Sejiri Steppe. Our opponent's not about that sort of life. Lavaspur Boots is good. Pithing Needle is obviously very good. This Scouring Stormsoul is fine, but not that exciting. I'm going to probably trim on a Mox Diamond because our opponent has Khans and I don't want them switched off. Tabernacle looks pretty bad here, so that can go. Everything else in our lands looks good, so we need to find 2 more cuts from this selection of cards. Now, the obvious thing is maybe we cut the Stormsoul, but we're keeping in the new cards. So we Maze of Ith. How useful is this? No, maybe we don't need the Maze of Ith. That can go. We do want the Karakas though, I think. Do we need the Karakas? Bouncing their Eldrazi feels horrible. Right, maybe we'll take out the Karakas as well. Disruptor Flute is fine. Wasteland is obviously one of the best cards in the matchup for us. We have a plan with Urza Saga. I think we keep this one. So we're probably doing like... Probably has to be Cradle of Growth into Urza Saga. Now, do we take a turn off to Wasteland our opponent? Probably, because that is a Cloud Post. So Spirit Guide plus Crop Rotation can save this. Alright, they're just doing Once Upon a Time in response. A Spirit Guide. Is this going to give them the Crop Rotation mana? It is. Yep, it's a good play. Echoing Deeps being a copy of the Cloud Post. Sure. So we didn't really do very much there. We got 2 cards out of our opponent's hand. But this isn't necessarily about the cards in hand. It's about the mana in play. Echoing Deeps. That's going to be another Cloud Post. So our opponent's going to have 1 billion mana next turn. This is bad news for us. A Wasteland. I think that's what we're doing here. If we'd have had a Expiration, then we'd be laughing. Oh, really? We're giving them green mana again. Ugh. This Yavimaya is really hurting us, but we kind of have to play the Yavimaya because we can't cast our green spells on curve if we do it any other way with this hand. We could have just played out the Wasteland on turn 1, I guess, instead of playing out the Yavimaya. Playing a Nexus. Our opponent's got mana. Not ideal for us. So, play out the Thespian stage, and then we can use the Disruptor Flute, and then we're just trying to win with this Dark Depths combo as quickly as we can, I think. Can't believe we were going to lose to Cloud Post there. The lands deck should be so good in this matchup. 7 mana. So this is going to be a big ol' Kozilek's Command. Yep. Mana is certainly not going to be the bottleneck here, is it? So they have 1 billion mana, I think. So what? 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So they can just cast an Emrakul and kill us here. Is that what's happening? They have a 1 of Emrakul in their deck. I don't think we're supposed to play this Disruptor Flute to play around it. But here we are. Yep, that is going to do us here. Even if we bounce it, they're just going to be able to replay it pretty soon. That was brutal. I think this matchup is one we should win most of the time. I think we made a misplay with the Pithing Needle, but again, we didn't know our opponent was going to Kozilek's Command, I think, but we could have thought about it and played around it and just tried to win with what was on the board. So maybe we could have won the first one and then we get a game 3, and I think on average we should be beating this matchup. Alright, on to round number 4.
Have you got magic cards you don't want taking up space in your home, or do you just need some extra spending money? Well, my lovely sponsors 3for1 Trading are buying all collections, big and small. They are one of Europe's biggest traders and have a transparent process to sell them cards and make sure you're getting a good deal. Click the link in the description of this video to get an offer on your cards today.
We're relying on Once Upon a Time a lot here. We don't have any other pieces of like a Dark Depths. Maybe we should just mulligan this and try and have something a bit more potent engine-wise. Alright, we have a Life from the Loam. This seems good to me. Keep this. What are we getting rid of? The Expedition map? Or are we just going to use the Life from the Loam to kind of do the things we want here? I kind of like having more lands. I think I'm going to put back the Expedition map because I kind of want this Lavaspur Boots to just make this hasty. And we're just going to rely on the classic Life from the Loam, which is a good thing to rely upon, to be fair. Right, Mox Diamond. Which is Otawara. I'll play this Ghost Quarter. I will get back this Otawara. A classic lands turn. Okay. Oh, our opponent has scooped. Uncertain what's going on. I don't think we have any information to do anything other than just go back again. Are they just not able to beat the Loam Ghost Quarter lock? Maybe the only land they had was going to be like... I guess this could be Mystic Forge. Because they don't have any basics, so Ghost Quarter plus Life from the Loam would be lights out for them. So maybe we should board as if they're
doing that. So maybe that means we brought in these and these. Or we should just resubmit. Okay, we'll just resubmit the main deck. Maybe we're supposed to read in stat that our opponent's playing that. But maybe they're playing a slower Ursal Spells hand. They probably keep the Ursal Spells hand. This hand looks fine to me. I'll keep it. I wonder if they are Mystic Forge. I think that's what I'd put my money on if I think about it. This hand is pretty solid though. And there's a Saga. So this could be Mystic Forge. Maybe my read was right and I should have just trusted myself. Draw a card and then pop off this Once Upon a Time. A Force of Will pitching Thoughtcast. So we're on some sort of 8-cast strategy. Understood. Let's try a Mox Diamond here. Let's Wasteland our opponent. Deploy an Exploration. Deploy a Thespian Stage. So we have the potential to combo off next turn if we draw the right stuff. Seat of the Synod. Are they going to play much with this? An Ether Spellbomb. Sure. Can't Spellbomb if you don't have blue mana though. We are going to cast Life from Loam targeting these 2 lands. Can you beat Life from Loam lock, opponent? They cannot, and they've screwed that one up pretty darn sharpish. Alright, we will take that. That puts us 2-2 going to the final round, so let's see if we can get the win here and get a nice 3-2. Alright, we have a Life from Loam plan, so let's keep it. So Mox Diamond, this. So we could play the Soul Lantern just to make sure we don't get bodied by that sort of nonsense. I think that is actually the plan here. We should have played this other way around if that's the case, though. Do we want to lose this? I think... no, we're just going to take our thing back. I think we should have played out the Soul Lantern and then played out the Mox Diamond. Could have been a little bit tighter there. If we die to a 10-1 graveyard combo, I'm going to feel real bad. But not many people play neutral spell. There's like a 3-4% deck. Force of Will, pitching Days. That means they probably have an answer for our graveyard, because you wouldn't just fire this off when we can just dredge it back. So they're probably going to be playing like main deck Nile Spellbomb. So we could be looking at blue-black tempo. I think that's more likely to the sort of thing we're doing. A Wasteland. Alright, we're playing this game, are we? Sure, I'll dredge his Life from the Loam. Playing the old Wasteland game against the lands deck is pretty interesting. So we've seen Days, Force of Will, Wasteland. It does feel like we're looking at some sort of tempo deck. Yep, it is blue-black tempo. Right, we can just go and get back this Bojuka Bog if we wish. This Nethergloif down for a bit. This should be a very good matchup as you saw earlier. We're pretty good into this sort of fair strategy. We have enough land drops here. We don't need to dredge Life from the Loam next turn. We can try and naturally draw into something like an Exploration. Underground Sea. Ponder. So we can Wasteland the Sea and Saga Lantern to keep these down a little bit. We can also think about playing our boy soon. Maybe this is finally going to be the game where this guy gets to shine. Dark Depths. That's not the easiest thing for our opponent to answer, is it? We could just play that out and threaten to kill our opponent next turn. But I think we're actually better off just stranding them resource-wise. I do kind of wish we dredged the Life from Loam, though. Alright, Pluto Delta. This probably gets them the basic island, and then they're just going to be fine playing on those until we find a Ghost Quarter. A Thoughtseize. We're going to lose the Sandman, but that's fine, because we can just get that guy back later. This is also going to pump their Nethergloif slightly. I don't like our play last turn. I don't think it was very efficient. Yeah, we take 4 here. That's fine. Do you want to dredge here? I don't think so. Ghost Quarter. That could certainly erase all of our opponent's lands, can't it? Do we have time to be messing around doing that? I don't think so. I think we're just going to play this Dark Depths and threaten the combo. Our opponent might just scoop to this one. We don't have to worry about the pressure, because at any point we can just say no with the Soul Guard Lantern. There's their basic, and now we can Ghost Quarter lock them, because they won't have any more basics in their deck. We'll take 4, that's fine. Feels like our opponent's going to Brazen Borrower if we deploy this. Okay. How do I feel about this? Yeah, we've got time here. We can just... I want to copy this into something else. We can turn it into a basic land so it can't be wastelanded. That seems pretty good. Are we loaming here? I don't think we're loaming this turn, right? I'd love to draw an Exploration, to be honest with you. Alright, so I think we copy this Ghost Quarter. And we're on a different plan now.
We're on a plan of infinite sadness for our opponent. Right, let's get rid of this island. I don't believe they have another basic in their deck. Next turn we Ghost Quarter 2 of their things. We can afford to take 6 here. And we can just go and get ourselves a Tabernacle instead next turn. That's also pretty good. So we can wipe their graveyard this turn and just save some damage. That's what we want to do. We do it in combat because it's very hard for them to put stuff in the graveyard in combat. They have to have like Brainstorm basically. They can Fatal Push one of their own guys to force through a little bit of damage. A Wasteland, that probably hits our Ghost Quarter, right? They should do this later rather than now. Yeah. So if we pop it, then they can get 1 damage through. So we take the 6. They don't really have reach in their deck, so we can kind of just continue on our merry way. Do we need to Dredge Life from the Loam this turn? 1, 2, 3. Yes, I think we do Dredge Loam. Of course, the Exploration was the top card. Why wouldn't it be? Okay, so we play this Loam, get back Wasteland, Ghost Quarter, and Cradle. And then we can Wasteland this Undercity Sewers. They're wastelanding our Dark Depths. That is okay with me. So this goes away. This goes away. And then we can pop the Soulguide Lantern in our opponent's combat step. And then next turn, we're getting close to just putting the Tabernacle in and getting our opponent that way. Exile each opponent's graveyard, please. We'll take 0 damage. Beautiful stuff. We're not dredging the Loam this time, we don't need it. So, what are we deploying here? Probably the Thespian stage or the Yavimaya. I think the Thespian stage makes the most sense here. So let's get this expedition map going. Our opponent needs fetch land into cantrip, I think. They might counter this just to put damage on board. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. This is a little scary now. We could actually lose this one. So now we need to find a Tabernacle. So we have 4. So we can dredge and have 3 looks. Or we can draw a natural card and hit either the Tabernacle itself, 3 crop rotations, 3 Malevolent Rumbles, 3 Once Upon a Time, which gives us more looks. So I think we're supposed to draw the natural card here. So we can make a 20/20, but we die to the damage in play. Yeah, that's unfortunate. There's an argument that maybe we should have sent it ages ago, but as we saw, the Brazen Borrower was pitched, so they had the Brazen Borrower plan. Our opponent just attacks everything and we die here. We don't have a good line. That is unfortunate, but this matchup should be very good for us, so we should be able to win it post-board. Okay, so what do we want for our opponent's nonsense here? And we're not really that bothered by much of the stuff our opponent has available. Maybe a couple of Dismembers in case they're running Harbinger of the Seas, and that's probably about it. Looks bad here. It is the Scouring Sandstorm that looks bad, isn't it? But, again, we're keeping the new card in, for better or worse. Karakas can bounce with Tamiyo. Oh, Tamiyo, we probably want some stuff to deal with Tamiyo. Endurance is also pretty good. So a bunch of stuff here. I can't remember what we brought out last time. Tabernacle, I think, is something we want access to relatively often. Maybe we trim down on crop rotations because you don't really want them getting countered. I don't think we need the Bojuka Bog. I don't mind having a Soulguide Lantern that cantrips and does stuff, and Endurance is kind of doing the same job better. So at present, what have we got in? So we got 2 Dismembers. If we want any more of these sorts of effects, we're going to need to trim somewhere along here. Is this a matchup where Ancient Tomb is particularly useful? Not especially. Maybe trim these 2, and that gets us a Needle and a Flute. And we just call it a day there. We don't want to overboard because our deck should be very good in this matchup. Alright, there is a Tabernacle that we wanted all this time. We will keep this. I believe in the power of Once Upon a Time to find us green mana. If not, then we can still play a game with Urza Saga. Probably. Thespian stage. This is what we'll play out on turn 1, and we'll pass a turn. We did not find a green source. Underground Sea. And a Ponder. So now we start the Urza Saga train. We have a green source here. I don't think we need to play it out yet. Another Ponder. This could be looking for a Wasteland to try and interact with our Urza Saga. Our opponent probably has access to Dress Down in their list, which is a good, clean answer to Urza Saga tokens. Alright, so they're just playing out some stuff here. Still Thoughtseize in the deck is interesting. Okay, I'm not going to expose our green source when we don't have to. I'm just going to make our opponents spend a bunch of resources dealing with our Urza Saga. And then, once they've done that, we can then start threatening 2020s. A brainstorm. You got it. Okay, so it feels like we might be getting dressed down. But if they don't have it, then they're in trouble. They could also Bowmasters and ping this, but they didn't. So they're fetching around a Pithing Needle, which makes sense. But are they also going to dress us down? It's a Bowmasters. So what do I want here? Do I want Graveyard Hate? Do I want Lavaspur Boots? Do I want some mana? What does mana do for us? So we get the Mox Diamond, we discard a land, we cast the Expiration, then we play like Dark Depths Tabernacle. That's pretty spooky for our opponent to deal with. We could also go and get the Expedition map. I'm going to get this Mox Diamond, I think. I'm going to play this Tabernacle out for our land for turn. I'm just going to hold up the crop rotation so we can play around Wasteland. How much do you want to keep your Bowmasters around? Probably not that much. Yep, they just let them go. Understandable. And what do you have here, opponents? No Wasteland, which is always good. A Null Rod. Don't want to crop rotate anything. I could turn this Tabernacle into something else. Yeah, I'm cool to do that, I think. Let's turn this into there's a Saga. Just keep that rolling. Disruptor Flute. That's going to be naming Urza Saga, I would imagine. I'm going to attack with this. And now we're threatening a 2020. We can do it with haste if we really want to. But this is going to take a lot of our resources to put into action. That is a Tao. 3 cards in our opponent's hand. Are we going for it here? Or are we just going to play a Brazen Borrower, Disruptor Flute on Brazen Borrower? I think that's what we're actually doing here. No, it's Petty Theft we want to name, isn't it? Sorry. Bounces Tamiyo. Sure, it's back in their hand. So mana of this. We can go and get Lavaspur Boots here. Try and go for 2020. Shoulder's Edict doesn't kill us because we have the Construct token. We can't equip actually, can we? Whoops, why did we get the Lavaspur Boots? That was bad. What am I doing here? Yeah, we should have just got like a Pithing Needle or something. Like, we also shouldn't be making this at this time either. So our opponent can just play a Kaito. Just having a horrible time. What am I doing? A Wasteland. Okay, so we played around Wasteland. I'll take that. But if they play a Kaito here, they can just tap down our Merit Lage, but then we can just kill the Kaito. Oh, they have a hardcast Brazen Borrower. Yeah, okay, we just absolutely just punted ourselves into the sun there. What a horrible situation for us. I don't mind this though. So we can go... We don't want the Saga, we want the Stage, the Depths, and I guess we can just get the Saga and start shooting for more stuff. Oh, they have the Force of Negation as well. Right, our opponent's really got a number here. We're not playing very well, so we deserve to lose this one. But we are still in a reasonably good spot. I'm not looking forward to Wasteland on our Boseiju though. There's a Kaito, they tap down our Construct, and then they Wasteland our Boseiju. Yeah, this should be easy for our opponent to win now. We've just opened the door and said, why don't you just kick us in the teeth? That is embarrassing, to be honest with you. Dismember doesn't do anything here. The Kaito should be able to just win the game comfortably at this point. So we could have gone and got the Pithing Needle preemptively for Kaito. Now, it's not going to stop us losing these Wastelands and this Force of Negation, so maybe we still lose anyway. But we just objectively played a really horrible turn there. Oh, they're surveilling. There's a Murktide. We could have cleaned out their graveyard to stop that, but I don't think that's necessarily getting us where we need to go. You can Thoughtseize us. Our hand is rubbish because we don't have any lands in it. They probably take... I don't know what we take here. Maybe the Rumble? I think the answer is it doesn't matter. Maze of Ith. Okay, I guess we kind of play the game a little bit longer. The Kaito still hits us, but the Murktide Regent doesn't. But we deserve to lose this one anyway. Okay, so our Construct is actually going to untap. It can't really attack into their Murktide Regent though. There's a Saga that doesn't do anything here. I don't want to play this game anymore. We punted this one. I think we still lose, but we definitely made an objective error. Possibly 2. Ugh. So we finished this league with a 2-3. That's not a very good record at all. Now, Lands does have some quite polarizing matchups, but we did lose to a good matchup at the end there, so that is on us, I think. In terms of this deck, though, obviously this Sandman, Scouring, Stormsoul, whatever you want to call it,
Didn't really do anything. It made our opponent tap a Karakas once. That didn't seem very good. Maybe this isn't the right shell for it. Maybe you need something more in the sort of blue ballpark with Uro, where you've got like Field of the Dead as one of your late game pieces instead of trying to be racing to Dark Depths, because it doesn't feel like this fits very well in the Dark Depths shell. Whereas getting back a Field of the Dead can give you immediate power on board. So I think we're going to try this again in a Field of the Dead build instead. This build was fine. Like, we had a couple of cards. Like, we kept finding this as things that was getting put into our general pool of cards that we're playing with, and it didn't do anything. So if these were other things, maybe our games go a little bit better. I think we definitely could have played better. Maybe I should not record 10 rounds of Magic before eating my breakfast. That's on me, I think. But so far, it's a big thumbs down for the Sandman, but we will try it again in a different shell and see if it's better in like the Uro Field of the Dead style stuff. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.